God bless the great state of Nevada. And let me say thank you for having such an incredible, strong, principled conservative as your Attorney General, Adam Laxalt. I was proud to support Adam early in his campaign, early in his primary. You know, I spent 5.5 years working in the Texas Attorney General's office. Let me tell you how he described his job in Texas. He said, I get up in the morning, I sue President Obama, I go home. And you know, in addition to fighting for this country in Iraq, Adam Laxalt also, when he became Attorney General, one of the very first things he did is he joined with 25 other states in suing Barack Obama to stop unconstitutional amnesty. So last week in Cleveland, we had kind of a quiet evening. What a fantastic array of talent was on that stage. How tremendous is it to have so many young, dynamic, inspirational leaders? And what a contrast with the Democrats. You know, I'm pretty sure the first Democratic debate is going to consist of Hillary Clinton and the Chipotle clerk. Well, now, actually, that's not fair. That's not fair. We can't forget about Bernie Sanders. So now the Democratic field consists of a wild-eyed socialist with ideas that are dangerous for America and the world, and Bernie Sanders. Well, and you know, it seems the Democrats keep delaying and delaying their debates. They moved it to September, October, November. I think they may just move it to 2017. Actually, the Democrats had planned to have an early debate. The problem was the debate invitation was emailed to Hillary. What an incredible gathering this is. I am so humbled and honored to be here at this Basque Fry with patriots. We are here today because America's in crisis. We're here today because we're bankrupting our kids and grandkids. We're here today because our constitutional rights are under assault from Washington. And we're here today because America has receded from leadership in the world, and it has made the world a much more dangerous place. But I'm here with you with a word of hope and encouragement and exhortation. America is waking up, and help is on the way. So I want everyone here to look forward. Look forward to January 2017. If I'm elected president, let me tell you what I intend to do on my first day in office. The first thing I intend to do is rescind every single illegal and unconstitutional executive action taken by this president. President Obama likes to say he's got a pen and he's got a phone. Well, you live by the pen, you die by the pen. And my pen has got an eraser. Sadly, though, the corruption has not been limited to the White House. It is extended to every agency, and we have seen the most lawless, partisan Department of Justice in history. The second thing I intend to do on the first day in office is instruct the United States Department of Justice to open an investigation into Planned Parenthood. And to prosecute any and all criminal violations by that organization. The administration of justice should be blind to party or ideology. The only fidelity of the administration of justice should be to the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. And together, we will bring back integrity to the United States Department of Justice. The third thing I intend to do on the first day in office is instruct the Department of Justice and the IRS and every other federal agency that the persecution of religious liberty ends today. That means that every serviceman and woman is able to pray and worship God Almighty, and his commanding officer has nothing to say about it. And that means that the persecution of groups like the Little Sisters of the Poor, a Catholic charity caring for the poor and elderly, the day we come in, the case against them will be dismissed. The fourth thing I intend to do on the first day in office is rip to shreds this catastrophic Iranian nuclear deal. The single greatest national security threat facing America is the threat of an Iranian nuclear deal. And I'll tell you this. If I am elected president, under no circumstances will the nation of Iran, led by a theocratic Ayatollah who chants death to America, under no circumstances will Iran be allowed to acquire nuclear weapons. The fifth thing I intend to do on the first day in office is begin the process of moving the American embassy in Israel to Jerusalem, the once and eternal capital of Israel. Now, you know, a lot of presidential candidates have made that same promise, Democrats and Republicans. And inevitably, when they get elected, they show up in the White House and they don't do what they said. Their team tells them, well, gosh, if you do this, a bunch of other folks in the Middle East are going to be really unhappy. Well, if you hadn't noticed, they're already pretty unhappy with us. The single biggest difference between me and the other fine gentlemen on that debate stage in Cleveland is that when I tell you I will do something, I will do exactly what I said I would do. All right! That's day one. There are 365 days in a year, 4 years in a presidential term, and 4 years in your second term. By the end of 8 years, there are going to be a whole lot of newspaper reporters and editors and journalists who've checked themselves into therapy. In the days that follow, I will go to Congress, and we will repeal every word of Obamacare. In the days that follow, I will instruct the Federal Department of Education, which should be abolished. I will instruct the Department of Education that Common Core ends today. In the days that follow, we will rebuild our military and we will honor the commitments we've made to every soldier, sailor, airman, and Marine. And we will allow our fighting men and women to exercise their right to keep and bear arms and to defend themselves. The next time a radical Islamic terrorist walks into a recruiting center in Chattanooga, Tennessee, he's going to meet the business end of a firearm wielded by a dozen Marines. What kind of administration is afraid to give guns to Marines and yet wants to give a nuclear bomb to Iran. In the days that follow, we will finally secure the borders and end sanctuary cities. And we will stop the Obama administration's shameful practice of releasing violent, criminal, illegal aliens into the general population. We will pass Kate's Law, which I introduced in the Senate. And you know, a gentleman up front just said, we're going to hold you to it. Absolutely right you are. That is what democracy is all about. You know, one of the striking things about that debate stage in Cleveland, all of us are familiar with campaign conservatives. Candidates. So the Obama Justice Department wants to shut me up.
It's working. It's working. It's working. It's working.
Senator, you got too much energy going that way.
Apparently. Third time's the charm. All of us are familiar with campaign conservatives.
Yes.
Candidates who talk a good game on the campaign trail.
Yes.
And yet don't walk the walk. I'll observe here in the state of Nevada, you've got some real experience with candidates who promise one thing when they're campaigning, and they
Not like McConnell.
I've heard of him.
Sandoval.
And you look at the debate in Cleveland, it was striking that of the candidates on that stage, a majority of the candidates on that stage had previously publicly advocated for amnesty.
Yes.
I have never once supported amnesty. I never will support amnesty, and I led the fight in the Senate to defeat amnesty when the Democrats tried to pass it. This election, more than anything else, comes down to one word, and that word is trust. We don't want a campaign conservative. We want a consistent conservative who's the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. In the days that follow, I will take on the bureaucrats at the EPA and stop them from strangling small businesses, and we will rescind the waters of the United States illegal rule. In the days that follow, the Good Point, Colorado, do you like how the EPA treats our rivers? You know, if any of us did to the rivers what they did, we'd be in prison. In the days that follow, I will go to Congress, and we will pass fundamental tax reform, adopting a simple, flat tax. Where every American can fill out his or her taxes on a postcard. And when we do that, we should abolish the IRS. There are about 90,000 employees at the IRS. We need to padlock that building. Take all 90,000 and put them down on our southern border. Now, to our friends in the media, I say that somewhat tongue-in-cheek. But if you think about it, imagine, sir, you traveled thousands of miles in the blazing sun. You're swimming across the Rio Grande. And the first thing you see is 90,000 IRS agents.
Too much energy.
Go home too. some of y'all may be thinking, all of that makes sense. It's common sense here. It's basic values here in Nevada. Live within your means.
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't bankrupt our kids and grandkids. Follow the Constitution. But you may be wondering, can it happen? Can we do it? You know, Scripture tells us there's nothing new under the sun. I think where we are today is very, very much like the late 1970s. I think the parallels are uncanny. Same failed domestic policy, same misery, stagnation, and malaise. Same feckless and naive foreign policy. In fact, the exact same countries, Russia and Iran, openly laughing at and mocking the President of the United States. Now, why is it that that analogy gives me so much hope and optimism? Because we remember how it ended. All across this country, millions of men and women rose up, became a grassroots movement that became the Reagan Revolution. The same thing is happening today. Let me talk about an issue that here in Nevada y'all understand. Imagine a line extending north-south across the entire country. To the east of that line, 5% of the land is owned by the federal government. To the west of that line, 50% of the land is owned by the federal government. 4% here in the state of Nevada. Now imagine a senator who year after year stands up and speaks against the federal monopolization of land in the West. Imagine a senator who introduced bill after bill after bill to end it. And then one year, to the astonishment of everyone, his bill passes, and the land is returned to the states and to the people. Now you may be wondering, well, if that happened, how come 84% of Nevada is still owned by the federal government? Well, that senator, his name was Thomas Hart Benton. He represented the state of Missouri, which was then the West. And he was fighting year after year for what was considered the West, from Michigan all the way down to Florida, and Thomas Hart Benton prevailed.
Fire the BLM.
We need to do exactly that, fire the BLM.
Yeah!
I'll tell you this, there's no reason whatsoever for the federal government to be the largest landlord in the United States of America.
Yeah!
In the Senate, I've been leading the fight to take federal land out of the control of the federal government, send it back to the state, send it back to Nevada, send it back to the people where it belongs.
Yeah!
You know, I talked about the Reagan Revolution. When we launched the campaign on March 23rd at Liberty University, the New York Times said Cruz cannot win because the Washington elites despise him.
Good!
I kind of thought that was the whole point of the campaign. Listen, if you think things are going great in Washington, if you think we need to keep going in the same direction, just kind of fiddle around the edges, I ain't your guy. On the other hand, if you think Washington is fundamentally broken, if you think there's a bipartisan corruption of career politicians in both parties who get in bed with the lobbyists and special interests, if you think we need to bring the power out of Washington and back to we the people, that is what this campaign is all about. And I'll tell you, in just over 4 months, we've received over 225,000 contributions at tedcruz.org. 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 Our average contribution is $68. That is the power of the grassroots. This campaign out of 17 Republican candidates has outraised every other Republican candidate for president because of the grassroots standing together. And so I'm here asking for your support. We are building a grassroots army here in Nevada and all across this country. And I want to ask each of you for three things. Number one, join us. Join us and volunteer. Take the lead in your county, in your precinct. Reach out to others and say, come out and caucus for Ted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Number two, I want to ask every one of you here when you get home tonight, go to our website, tedcruz.org, and contribute. If you can max out, some of you can, God love you. I promise you we'll use every penny to communicate a hopeful, positive, optimistic message, conservative message to the country. But everyone here can contribute something. Everyone here can give $10 or $25 or $50. Even if, or $68. Even if you're in high school, you can give $10 and skip a pizza this week. And let me tell you why that's so important. Because when you do it, then you got skin in the game. Then you're invested. Then it's not my campaign. It's our campaign. That is how we win. The third thing I want to ask of each and every one of you is that you pray. That you lift up me and my family in your prayers, and that you pray for our nation. You pray that Americans all across this country continue to wake up and stand up, and that together we restore this great nation. The last thing I want to say to you is this. For all of us, freedom is not some abstract concept that we read about in a textbook. Freedom is real. It's personal in our families. For me, I think about my dad. My father, Rafael Cruz, was born in Cuba, grew up in Cuba, fought in the Cuban Revolution as a teenager. And as a teenager, my father was thrown in prison. He was tortured by Batista's army, beaten halfway to death. In 1957, my father fled Cuba. He came to America. He had nothing. Had $100 in his underwear. He couldn't speak English. He got a job washing dishes, making 50 cents an hour. He worked full time, paid his way through school, started a small business with my mom. Today, my dad is a pastor. He travels the country preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, my dad said to me over and over again, when we faced oppression in Cuba, I had a place to flee to. If we lose our freedom here, where do we go? That is why we're here today.
Yeah.
We are here today because the people of Nevada are fighters and patriots.
Yes.
We are here today because we are not prepared to go quietly into the night. We are not prepared to give up on our children and grandchildren. We will not give up on freedom. We will not give up on the Constitution. Together, if we stand together as we the people, if we believe again in this great nation, together we can and we will restore that shining city on a hill that is the United States of America.
Yeah.
Thank you, and God bless you.